the general public will go, our bills have gone up, you can't control leakages in your system, but most of all, when you talk about blaming everybody else, why don't you stop paying horrendous wages and amounts in bonuses to fat cat bosses and providing such a crap service, frankly, to most of the people who pay your wages in the first place?
Good morning, Jeremy. Well, yes, people definitely feel that. And I think, the fact that the bosses' salaries are so high is a big issue. However, let's look at the big picture here. What we have is a situation where thousands of people don't even have access to water. This is almost probably the worst example of privatisation failing that we've ever seen. Where is the money going? Yes, it's going to bonuses. Yes, it's going to salaries. But it's going out in dividends to shareholders. Where are the shareholders? They're in Australia, they're in Canada. And actually, what we need to do is bring South East Water and bring all the water companies into public ownership so that they can actually work for the households of this country and for the environment. Because we've seen this happen with South East Water many times now. Investigations are not enough. Calling for the boss to resign is not enough. The solution is public ownership so that we can actually make sure this company works for the people that it's supposed to serve.
I must be really honest with you because I'm old. I suppose in the past I would have agreed with politicians who talked about privatisation because it struck me that so many of the things in this country in the 70s and 80s were so badly run. But there are increasing examples that privatisation of certain things have led to worse services and people just putting their hand in the till. And I think, the 28,000 people in the southeast who are without water, businesses and homes would actually say, would we not be better off if this was owned by the general public, because we would have a vested interest in making it successful? And I guess you could say I've sort of come round to that belief in the last sort of decade or so.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So 7 out of 10 people want public ownership of water. We've just done polling of Thames Water customers. They are desperate for the government to step in and take that company into public ownership. And the truth is, 9 out of 10 countries in the world run services like water in public ownership. So what we're doing in this country is a really extreme ideological experiment where we're saying, even if a service is a natural monopoly and you don't get a choice, even then we're going to have private companies making a profit and that profit flowing out in dividends to shareholders instead of being reinvested. And what we can do if we have public ownership is we can actually have a new model where we have households, bill payers, sitting on the board of publicly owned companies. We can have workers on the boards. We can have environmental groups.
How does it work, though? We haven't got a lot of time. How do you make something like that work, Kat?
So, for starters, the government needs to withdraw the licences from these companies and they can do that on 2 bases. One, these companies are financially collapsing, in the case of Thames, for example, but also South East Water is in a very precarious financial situation. But 2, they're not delivering on their statutory duties. So all of this nonsense about a 25-year notice period for their licences, the government needs to change the law, take back these companies so that the profits can be reinvested. And that's something they have the legal powers to do. And I think it's outrageous that a government that got into power saying they would take back services for public benefit. Keir Starmer committed to bringing water into public ownership.
Oh, come on, love, you didn't believe that. It'll be you can't. You didn't believe what he said. He made his 13th U-turn overnight. He's not going to stand by anything he says, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but originally he did say that, right? And people want that. And now we're in a situation where people don't have water. Bills have gone up a huge amount and the companies want more and more and more. And South East Water has been spending far more on its dividends than on investing in infrastructure. And that is the reason why we're here. Getting rid of the boss won't help. The only thing that will help is bringing that company and all of the water companies, the privatised water companies in England, into public ownership because they have failed in private hands.
Couldn't agree more. Great to have you on. Kat Hobbs, founder of We Own It.